Alex Kingston AI reads fan fiction, The Adventures of Mercy Song, by nightsisterkaris. Chapter 3. Love like the tides, always flowing in. Maybe it was just her loss of center of balance. Maybe it was her body's crazy hormone spikes. Maybe it was her own stupidity not to at least educate herself a bit more on Time Lord human pregnancies when she'd had access to the TARDIS library. Whatever it was, River regretted not knowing what the hell was going on. She made a mental list of things she did know, so she could address those that she didn't. What I do know, regeneration energy like this isn't common. Why? I don't know. What I do know, human pregnancies are 9 months and are technically born premature, because if it was long, the babies wouldn't fit through the birth canal. Time Lord pregnancies are 8 months because regeneration energy is significantly substantial to the child's growth, and they are born more advanced than humans. What will be my experience? I don't know. Perhaps the two species will cancel out, and it will be 9 months. What I don't know, what the hell is going on? Her list went on for quite a long collection of mysteries and questions, most of which she pondered late at night when insomnia plagued her. Some nights, she could hardly control the regeneration energy from blazing from her, lighting up like a star going supernova, illuminating her room brighter than day. Most days she could hardly eat the school food and got takeout or just didn't eat at all. But one thing was certain, River felt alone. In a few weeks she could expect to hold her baby in her arms, and she was downright terrified. River would sit on her bed, having imaginary conversations with her mum, pretending that Amelia Pond sat beside her, an arm around her back, telling her that everything she worried about was perfectly normal and she would be fine, that everything would be okay. At night, she dreamed of her child's future. She dreamed of her husband sleeping beside her, wrapping an arm around her middle to press his palm against her rounded stomach. She dreamed of his smile when he'd hear his son or daughter laugh and giggle at his antics. River saw his pride as the child stared with eyes full of wonder at the sight of so many stars out the TARDIS door. She dreamed of him spinning into the room with another idea, telling the baby where he was taking them next. He'd probably do something ridiculous and get a tiny fez. And she couldn't bear it. This child could never have that future. River had decided that they could never know who they truly were or have the experience of traveling with their father, because their father could never know. The fewer people who knew about the child, the better. River turned over on her bed, readjusting the pillow between her knees, the pillow behind her back, and the one poking from under her shoulders. At night, she had no fear of being seen. The hallways of the apartments in Lunar University had special monitors that only responded to suspicious activity, like breaches or prolonged activity, after the lights went out to make sure the faculty were not bothered by students after school hours. Dr. Song stared into the dark, a hand rubbing the sore spot above her lower back. Unlike most expectant mothers, River didn't have time for the fancy creams and scrubs to prevent aches and stretch marks. As advanced as the technology around her was, she'd have to live the rest of her life with the stripes her growing child stretched along her skin. She hated them. They didn't look cool and acceptable like scars. When she showered, she looked down to see angry pink lightning strikes dancing across the far from elastic skin of her strained stomach. She preferred to just wear her projection filter and not see them at all. As River drifted off, she was suddenly brought alert by the shadow of a man walking oh so silently along the hallway of her apartment. River dared not hope, and yet she prayed it wasn't. The man slipped into her bedroom and towed off his brown dress shoes. Draping a certain tweed jacket over the chair, he sat down on her bed, taking off his suspenders and trousers. "My dear Riva," he whispered. River feigned uninterrupted sleep. Her husband climbed in behind her, lifting the blanket to curl up against his wife's back. He removed the pillow supporting her back, moving it to a much-needed location under her stomach. "Hello, sweetie," the doctor spoke in a voice so hushed she strained to hear it. "Don't worry. I'm a much older version of the me you know now. You told me this was a hard night, and so I decided to help you through it. You usually would have woken up to me by now, but I guess the baby has you exhausted." River didn't know what to think, and just kept her breaths even, savouring the feeling of her love beside her. Even the child, which had been practicing gymnastics earlier, settled. River wondered if somehow they knew their father was there. Settling down for your mummy now, are you? The doctor's hand snaked over her bump, finding where the baby pushed against her side, his warm palm seemingly to do the trick. A tear trailed down River's face, her heart's fluttering at his touches. "River, I know you're awake," he suddenly said in a normal voice. River was silent. He repeated, "You don't have to worry. I'm a much older version of the one I know now," River finished, and another tear escaped her eyes. She turned to stare up at him, her arms reaching up so she could touch his face. "My love?" "Yes, and I promise you, everything works out in the end," the doctor said, and in the darkness he moved his hand from her stomach and found hers, holding it tight, interlacing their fingers. "That means I failed." "You didn't fail at all, sweetie," the doctor told her. River turned her head to look at him in the very dim light coming from the stars in the window. "I'm just here to tell you that she... No more spoilers," River warned. Her emotions soared. "It was a girl. The baby. She grows up. She's safe. Well, mostly safe, safe most of the time. Minus that one instance, maybe multiple instances." The doctor faltered when River rolled her eyes and elbowed him. "Not helping at all," she hissed. "Yeah, sorry," he paused. "May I at least calm a few of your fears?" the doctor asked, wrapping an arm around her, getting comfortable by her side. "Don't forget to breathe." River nodded, and the doctor buried his nose in her golden curls. She sighed. "The glowing." She heard him smile. "You don't have to worry about the regeneration energy high you've been experiencing. It's normal for some Time Lords." "I feel like I have more than I'll ever need." "Don't forget to breathe, Riv. Unborn Time Lords take a lot of energy to grow. I'm honestly surprised it worked out so well for you. Sometimes mothers are drained. You were always a miracle, Riva," he whispered in her ear. "It's okay if you feel random urges to take a sudden nap. Take it easy, sweetie. Listen to your gut." "My gut is currently telling me to go eat 1,000,000 of my mother's cookies, so I think that sounds like a good idea." River agreed. Does Pond know yet?" River sighed. "No. I'll stay quiet then." "Thank you," River said. She paused. "What about... I'm going to sound absolutely crazy, but I'm still new to this telepathy thing, but sometimes I hear..." The doctor burst into a grin, pulling himself over to see her face. "That's amazing!" "I didn't even finish," River huffed. "You already have a telepathic connection to the baby. That's what you hear. The baby. It has the Gallifreyan telepathic ability just like us. It's reaching out, exploring that constant consciousness nearby, taking comfort in its mother. Time Lords are known for having close relationships with their mothers. It's getting to know you by sharing its thoughts. Well, she can't think in feasible words, she's thinking in emotion and sensation, so that's what that is." "Are you reading out of a book?" River asked. No, just remembering the things you've told me over the past 5 months. Trying to ease your mind so you can sleep tonight." The doctor went serious. "Future, you said you had a breakdown tonight. Once the time loop was fixed, I decided to come, since I wanted to help my wife." The doctor squeezed her hand, holding her close. "But how did you find out about all this?" River sighed, waving her hand around her belly. "Spoilers, sweetie." The doctor emated her sweetly, and he leaned forward to kiss her cheek. They lay in silence for a while. Quite the spoiler, in fact. Neither of us saw it for what it was for a very long while. He trailed off, his nose buried in her hair. "Please tell me, am I a good mum?" she says, shattering the quiet. "The best," the doctor says, and pauses, inhaling a few times as if about to say something, but cutting himself off as if he suddenly decides not to. "But Riva, you must hide her from me as long as you can. Time is difficult and it's easy to ruin with the wrong tampering. I can't go into the details, but for undisclosed reasons, you have to keep her a secret from the universe." "That was already my plan," River replied. "I know. I just had to reinforce it." He said, "I want you safe. Then you need to stay safe. I can't come to your rescue quite as easily anymore." I thought I was the one doing all the catching and rescuing, the doctor teased. It's called marriage, sweetie, River compromises. Suddenly she flinches. The doctor frowned. Are you okay? It's just Braxton Hicks, sweetie, just practice contractions. River shied it off, except it wasn't. She'd been having them all day, and she'd lost her cervical plug yesterday. Her water hadn't broken yet, but she knew it wouldn't be long.
The doctor snuggled closer against her. Breathe, Riv, he whispered tenderly. I love you.
I love you too. I have until morning. Then stay right here, she answered, allowing him to lull her to sleep. When she awoke, he was gone.